So we're joining us today, and I am in the Caribbean. I live on the island of St. Croix. And today we are going to be talking about donations that they can give you a return on an investment. I'm Amy Rose Herrick, America's Profit Building Specialist, and I am here to help you build up your bottom lines. So let's go ahead and let's get started sharing my screen, and we'll move right ahead here. All right, here we go. So when you start thinking about donations, and when I say they must give you a return on investment, now I've had some individuals that aren't really sure, and I don't know where you're at in your entrepreneurial journey. Return on investment, ROI. So if you see those initials, so we are looking at whenever we spend money or we invest in money, we are looking at getting a return on our investment. And so for a company, you may never have really thought about getting a return on your investment on your donations, but I want to see if I can change some of that mindset for you. Now, I will give you a real quick disclosure that these are general concepts. I have a wide audience that will review these. I would expect you to talk to your tax or your other professionals. So that's the real quick disclosure. And as we keep moving forward here, well, let's talk about the obvious question. Should donations give you a return on your investment? And I'm going to say absolutely yes, because you are expending the funds and you are doing it because obviously you want to support the charity. But at the same time, you are expending the funds, and those funds are being taken away from your bottom line or your profitability. Now, anything else that you would purchase, whether it was equipment or you would engage employees, you put additional product on the shelf, ad services, whatever the case may be, the objective is to increase your bottom line. Now, there are some parts of charity that it doesn't matter to you if it increases the bottom line, but I want to challenge you to look at some of the programs that you're maybe doing automatically that are decreasing your bottom line, and you've got some other alternatives to support institutions you believe in, but maybe you just look at doing it just a little bit different way. Now, for some of you, I know that you are thinking that donation is really simply, it's an advertisement for you. Well, if it is an advertisement, then it shouldn't be in the donations category. It should be in advertising. And I have a separate course on advertising about how advertising needs to give you ROI. So I really don't want to confuse the difference between, am I advertising or am I donating, or am I trying to get both out of it? Because we really need to have this item or the services you're providing do one thing, and to do one thing well, whatever that item happens to be. All right, so many of you, are you Secret Santa all year? Now, I know you may not think of it that way, but we are, of course, asked to donate throughout the year as successful business owners and entrepreneurs. And when you start looking at what happens throughout the year, it doesn't matter whether it's Christmas or not. We have got, so sometimes some of you are doing Little League uniforms so that you can have your name on the back, and all the parents and the grandparents and everybody attending in the stands can see that you're supporting them. And you may do over and above that. What about silent auction donations? Well, of course, if you are familiar with the pandemic that's happened, a lot of things have changed. I've seen quite a few events that used to be in person for silent auctions have now switched over, and they are auctions that are held over the internet. Really not silent, but of course, that's another thing that's had to pivot in order for organizations to work within their fundraising, because so many of the events that they had done before simply are not possible when we're trying to do some distancing. Maybe you get a junior league fundraiser, your local school districts, that has changed, but it will be coming back. What are you doing in the community and some of these others? Now, there are some of you, no, you think you're doing a favor because you put an ad or some type of a notice that is in their publication. Well, even when you're doing that, we got staff time involved. Somebody has to create the ad and decide what goes in the ad, even if it is just your business card. So there's time spent on that. Somebody has to proof the ad. Somebody has to make it out the check, to pay the invoice, make it whatever. There's a time involved. Even if you say, well, I'm just going to put an ad in. Well, is the ad going to give you a return on investment? Or are you okay with the amount of time and everything that you have put into it? Or do we need to pivot and go to a different direction that would give both more money to the charity, tie up less time, but still accomplish what you want? So is that really a donation when you're doing that? Or are you advertising? See the difference? Even if you're looking at the same ad. Some places do food sales. When you think about food sales, all right, I'm going to think of a couple that I know of. The Boy Scouts have done nuts and popcorn. The Girl Scouts, of course, forever have been known for their Girl Scout cookies, even if the world is changing. I have seen candy bars. I have seen candles. I've seen stationery. I've seen all the different types of things that are for fundraising purposes. So throughout the year, are you really being a Santa Claus in some aspects? Because whether you're doing the amounts that are done for donations or for ads that you're replacing, it still has an effect that comes up back on your bottom line throughout the year. So let's talk about, and this is a couple of pages, I'm taking a few excerpts out of the course workbook that goes along to really help you dial some of this in. Now let's look and let's go back over your last year or pick a time frame. And you can also do this for something that you are considering donating to that you have been asked, whether it is goods or it is services, you can still use the same methodology. So, what's the name of the charity or what's the particular cause or the event? What is the date that they need to have that? What's a description of the donation? Now let's go through, and I'm just going to pull something out of the air. I'm a heating and air conditioning company, and I am going to do a duct cleaning. There we go. It's something I've seen. We'll think about. Well, what's the value of the donated goods? Okay, well, I don't really have that much that I'm going to have to spend in supplies. So I'm looking at this and saying, well, if I went out into the field and I did this for this hypothetical house, then maybe it is $1,000 job. We're just going to use round numbers. Those of you who are in heating and air conditioning, I could be way off. I'm just throwing a number out. Now, what are your hard costs to provide the donation? Well, I have to send my guys. I have to send the truck. They've got to send their time. So I've got their wages. The average house costs me, okay, it's probably going to cost me $600 in hard costs to get the guys out there to clean the ducts, which is what I'm considering donating to this particular charity. Do I have any soft costs? Labor time delivery? Well, no, I've already have to build that in, but yeah, I do have a little bit of gas and stuff in the truck, and the time that it took us to put this together and to verify the donation and get it dropped off. So what are some of my soft costs that I have? And let's say that my soft costs, we're going to go round numbers again. We're going to say it's $100. So we have $700 into this cost of the donation that is worth $1,000 hypothetically. So now I've got something that I can work with on this. Now let's look at it again. So the total cost of the donation to me is going to be about $700. Now, the revenue generated from sales directly attributable to this donation. Well, I get to guess on that. Is having this donation out on the table of cleaning ducts going to bring me any new business, or is the homeowner probably not going to buy two of them? So I get to determine whether this is going to give me a return on investment. In this example, I'm going to say, no, I really have never seen traditionally anybody else coming in to buy duct cleaning because they saw this at the auction. It's all hypothetical. So I don't get anything out of that. So my return on investment in this donation, well, it's going to be zero. I'm not expecting anybody to come in because I had done this particular gift for charity. Now, what will the charity likely sell it or raffle it for? Sometimes that takes a little research. If you've gone to the auctions and you've done some of the stuff, you already know what it is sold for because you look at that, or they send you a lovely little letter that says that, Ed and Mary Smith purchased it for $250. Now, I can tell you Ed and Mary Smith are tickled to death because they just paid $250 or 75% off for a $1,000 service that's going to cost you $700 to provide for the charity to make $250. And I see these things happening. So if I look at that, and so if I have got no return on investment and the charity is going to sell it for $250, if I donate this item, I'm going to lose $700. Maybe I save all of that time and money and I do something else and I write the charity a check for $250 or $500 and I eliminate all of those other steps and it still builds up my bottom line. That does not mean, and you're not hearing me say, do not support the charities. That's not what I said. What I said is we need to be looking at some of these transactions and making a decision on what is going to make the most benefit to my bottom line. And I can still support the charity. I may just do it in a different mechanism because my gift is not cost effective for anyone in this scenario, except the buyer who got it for a significant discount. And unless this buyer comes back and does this service or buys something else from me, they just got a one-time deal. They were not a client. They were just a one-time customer, only because they picked up my certificate. Is that making sense to you? You ever thought of it that way? So then let's look at this just a little bit differently. If I can get you to go back, perhaps over your last year, or the last 2 years on the various donations and things that you have done, and really look back on your books. And if you don't know the exact numbers, you could probably guess pretty close by looking at it if you haven't been tracking these type of things, and go down and, maybe you only had 5 instances of donations last year. Maybe you had 55. It's very easy to go back. Yes, it takes a little bit of work, but I'm going to tell you, this is so worth it to your bottom line. And some of these concepts that I teach, when I tell you that I can usually change directions for you in 15 to 45 minutes, I'm going a little slower on this one, but you can see some of the enormous impact. Let's say that this is a hypothetical company. And on my hypothetical company, when we really looked at it, we decided that we were not going to repeat $10,234 worth of donations. Because when we're looking at this, it was not beneficial to us and it really didn't make that much difference. So then if I look at it and I really impress upon you, it isn't just the change that you make this year or this month. Once you establish a habit, it's going to continue for a long period of time. In this hypothetical example, if I'm not going to repeat $10,234 worth over a year, in 10 years, that's $102,000 more profit to my bottom line. That's a number you can work with. Now, I also went down, or I decided to reduce the donation, or I'm going to give them a check instead. So for example, like the heating and air vac example I gave of cleaning out duct work, I'm going like, no, this is costing me money. I will just give them a check. The charity comes out the same, or maybe I give them a little more. So when I looked back at those things I was going to change, I decided definitely there was $2,000 a year that I would be changing to checks, which will save me time and build my bottom line. So I'll plan on spending probably $20,000 over the next 10 years. And then I had a third category, which was unchanged repeat. Well, it was relatively low. It was $500, but over the course of 10 years, that's $5,000. These types of changes, because I'm looking to get an ROI and build my bottom line. Is it a charitable donation? Is it advertising that is not performing for me? Over 10 years, this is $117,000 more to your bottom line. Now, with that $117,000, you could choose to keep that, or maybe instead of giving goods and services that are not leveraging your bottom line effectively, maybe you go back and say, I can afford to write a check. You need a donation? No, I'm not going to give you an item for the auction, or I'm not going to provide this. I will be happy to give you a check. Done, finished, through. And everybody is still happy. And we're still protecting that bottom line, because I need you in business in the years to come to be able to give to charity when you feel that is something that you are led to do. Do you see the difference here? Now we're going to kind of wrap it up. So I have a variety of courses. I have just over 3 dozen that are up at thesecretprofits.com courses page. This particular one that is in more depth is, donations must give you ROI, but you can invest in any one of these courses. There's a one-time fee. They're very, very affordable, where you have access to the full video course. You'll have the workbooks. You'll also have some bonuses that are involved, and it's a one-time fee and a purchase, and you can have access to it indefinitely. I also have some other bundled options and things that are available. I kind of like to wrap up some of these things with Mark Twain. It's one of my very favorite quotes. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails. I want you to explore, dream, and discover. And with that, you can see we didn't spend very long. It was very, very quick. I'm looking at we're 18 minutes in, and you now have seen a way that when I say that I can work with individuals and I can help you increase your bottom line easily, anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 per category, it can be done with just a little bit of effort. So what I'd like you to do is, by all means, if you are watching this on the replay that is on YouTube, please take a few moments, subscribe to the channel. I'd also like you to look down in the notes and you'll see some other resources and ways that you can get in touch with me. Please feel free to share these resources. And if you will go on to my LinkedIn or my Facebook, you will see under events all the sessions that I have got scheduled coming up in the near future. Come, feel free to invite your friends. The other thing that you will see in the notes is the ability to pick up one of my books, and you'll be able to get that free digital download, which is how to add $10,000 to $100,000 or more to your entrepreneurial bottom line this year. So by all means, be sure and pick that up. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I'm going to